We're going to start off with the big one, Outriders Launch. Now, it is officially launching at midnight tonight for, I believe, console, and then tomorrow morning it's going to be live for everyone, but there are a bunch of content creators and Outriders ambassadors that are actually playing today, which is interesting because, you know, there's 200-300 people streaming it, and there's people starting to make videos on it, but no one can actually play, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of launched, and people are starting to get some footage of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people honestly grinded, and they're in the end game already. But we're just getting in there.
I'm like level 26. I've been taking a little bit of time, but I'm pretty close to the end of the campaign, and I'll be right into the expedition end game. Your boy's a grinder. I'm right there.
I'm about 12 hours of gameplay in so far. I'm level 21. So I was actually surprised the map is bigger than I thought. Like, you go to a lot of different spaces. I was actually impressed. There's a lot of content there, a lot of different environments, and you get to circle back to them for a couple different reasons. There's like a couple of like small quest vendors that you run into. One of them gives you like hunts. I don't know if you've done any of the hunts. Yep. Kackis? Yeah.
That was in my top 5 beginner tips. I was like, do your wanted bounties, do your hunts, because they give some great loot. But you have to go back to the original town where those guys are. So you'll go quite a bit further in the storyline, but still have to go back. Kind of annoying, kind of cool though, because it keeps these places relevant. You're not just only doing everything, like, it doesn't just make all these old places that you've been completely irrelevant once you get past them.
The hunts I really liked because they take you into new places. Like, you circle back to an old place you already went to, but that you like go into a new section of that map that you've never seen before. For some of those
sometimes,
hunts.
yeah.
Yep.
Which is really cool touch.
It's almost like they break open little parts here and there, and they add on. And like, even with the bounty guy, you couldn't pick up some of the bounties until you actually met him, and then you can go back to the first region. So you know, it gives you a reason to go back and check it out. And I'm really enjoying the game so far. And like I was kind of saying earlier, it feels like everyone is scared it's going to be Anthem. They're scared it's going to be this dead, janky, buggy game. And you know what? It isn't perfect, but it is way better than Anthem in my opinion.
Like, let's say, like, we kind of have been fawning over the game, so let's do the opposite. What are the things you don't like about Outriders? Because for me, I'm still certainly enjoying the game more than not. But here's the thing. Firstly, on PC, it keeps stuttering. Like, every 30 seconds, it'll do a little bit of a stutter. Sometimes, if you start it up a couple times, like, it cannot do that. But that's obviously annoying. Playing solo, like, the difficulty spikes are real. Like, you'll have to gear up quite a bit. In a game like Borderlands 3 and even Destiny, if you get like a good gun, you can cruise for quite a while.
Yeah, it'll carry it for several levels.
You'll get a gun that's cracked out of its mind and it slays, but in only a level or two, you got to replace it. Like, it is a pretty sharp difficulty climb.
Yeah.
But it also leads to some definitely annoying moments. Like, the enemy attacks, they're a little bit wonky, and the AI can do some kind of wonky things. And I already was complaining before the podcast, like, some of the attacks, like the area of effect attacks, like, it'll glow red to show you, hey, get out of this area. But sometimes it's so big, you're like, what am I supposed to do? You like double dodge and you still are in it. You're like, what does this game want me to do?
Well, there's these enemies called spotters that will do these mortar strikes on you while you're down there in the trenches dealing with the ads, and there's a spotter 150 yards away, and he's like, I'm gonna hit that guy with a giant mortar. And so I got to the point
radius the size of a freaking like 12 Nova bombs.
As a devastator, what I started doing, I kid you not, I would run in, I'd put Golem skin on, and I would run past 95% of the ads. We're like, screw all these guys. I'd leave captains behind me and everything, and I'd just run odd tank damage and run all the way to the back of the map and kill the spotters first. I'm like, F these guys. I'm gonna get them out of the way first.
Yeah. But so that's that. There is some definitely annoying parts, you know, of the game. And I think certainly when you're playing a game like Destiny 2, to be absolutely real, it's like Outriders is nowhere near as smooth in terms of gameplay. It definitely feels a little bit more clunky, right? But really any third-person shooter kind of does compared to first-person shooter, but it doesn't have that smoothness. But this, like, what do you guys think? What are some things you like aren't the biggest fans of an Outriders?
You'll go, Mike. You said looked like you had something.
Just really quickly, as you say that though, because you played a lot of Division,
yeah,
do you think it feels as good as Division 2, Or do you think it feels worse than Division 2?
Here's the thing interesting. Yeah, like you don't use the cover system in Outriders. Like it's kind of a trick.
Yeah.
You don't really like sometimes to get a little bit of health back, but not really. You kind of the cover system is meant. I think people said this. The cover system is meant for the enemies. So if you're trying to play, it's like if you're trying to play Outriders like Division, Division is better because Division has a lot smoother cover to cover. It's a lot more intuitive when you're using the cover system. But if you're trying to play Division like Outriders, where you're not using cover, you're just out and about fighting enemies and stuff, Outriders feels better.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird in that regard.
I would say that the gunplay feels comparable, like almost on par. Like if you didn't have enough stability on some guns in Division, sometimes I felt a bit janky. But like I would say that the guns feel overall pretty decent in Outriders. I'm happy with it. I would say like targeting of abilities, like overall has been pretty good. I mean, some of them are just big area of effect, and so you don't have to worry about it. And you know, even in Division, like there were some skills that were like a little janky, like the Hive revives and the Hive heals were sometimes a little weird, and like the little Sentinel bomb thingies. So I would say that overall it does feel pretty good for a third-person shooter.
My abilities,
it's not getting to Destiny. Like Destiny is perfection, right? But yeah, I would say it does feel pretty good. Other than maybe you stub your toe on a lot of stuff, and it's like, okay, you know, you kind of get snagged on things here and there where I think I'm going to make it through, or you just kind of, you nudge it with your shoulder and it you know, sends you flying.
Well, have you noticed your abilities work flawlessly? Like I've never had my abilities not really do. I think the one as a trickster throwing knife, sometimes it's invalid targets and I can kind of see a guy, but if I step out a little bit further behind cover, and then other, you know, that's maybe my biggest complaint. But your abilities tend to work always when you want them to, and they work how you expect them to. The jankiness comes from the enemy's abilities. The enemies can do some crazy stuff. Like the slow time bubble. I had an enemy in there just punch me full speed. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? So
that's against the rules.
And there's so many enemies, it can kind of like, so that jankiness can be a little bit compounded. But the reason I mention this stuff is so that people listening, like, you know, this game is not perfect, but for goodness sakes, when we say it's good, we're coming at you with a balanced, like, viewpoint. And like you said, compared to Anthem, it already feels more solid. It already feels like there's more to it. I've played so much of the game. I've played a lot. Like, I've been playing since Tuesday. Like, I beat the Grandmaster and then just started playing. And I haven't even started the Endgame. And I've been playing a lot.
I love how many enemies there are, though. I love the fact that I can
aggressive
blow
too.
Everything up. I like that there's like, you know, every encounter there's like 30, 40 enemies, because when you do play with people, you're not fighting for it. You can do your own thing, get 30 kills in that room, and it feels like you did a lot. And that was the one thing Fruit and I were saying is like, I never feel like I'm competing. I never feel like you use a big ability and I'm like, oh well, I wanted to do that, you know? And it's one thing about Destiny, some of the recent strikes I've seen, like the Sepix Prime one, lots of enemy density. I really like that. You know, you're really strong in Destiny. You want to kill stuff. And in Anthem, you had these amazing abilities, but like one enemy would run out of these spawns. And it's like, why is there one enemy on the map for me to fight? And you're trying to fly around and like find these enemies. And there's one of them. There's no big groups to like kind of get your attention. And I feel like Outriders is doing a pretty good job of keeping it high tempo. Like I'm always like, oh, this is a battle.
Oh yeah. I was happy that pretty quickly out of the gate, you're gonna start running into encounters where you die like 3 times. You're like, oh my gosh, I really gotta like stop and think about what I'm doing, because I'm used to the story mode on games these days, honestly, being a really casual experience. Yeah. I'm used to not dying, you know? And that's not like, that probably sounds a little arrogant, and I don't mean for it to. I feel like games, the main story mode has just been very, very easy. I think even Destiny's like this, like the main story stuff that you do, the story missions are just a cakewalk.
Not just story missions, anything on normal difficulty.
Just your strike playlist stuff, all that.
Really quickly, if you're doing the Deep Stone Crypt raid in that first encounter and you want to wipe, so you're standing still and the dregs are coming up and they smack you up and they go back.
And your shield starts to regen. You're like, do I need to tank my recovery stats?
It's almost impossible to die when you want to in Destiny sometimes. Yeah. So like, yeah, you're 100% right. This game feels it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot of instances where I actually walked away from a fight. Well, I had this a few times today where I walked away from a fight and I went back to the base and I re-kitted my build. I was like, okay, my build's not working here. I had the reflect bullets ability equipped, but it was all like animals that were jumping on me, and obviously I can't reflect bullets on animals. So I'm like, I gotta rethink my build, make sure my armor is up to par. Okay, this piece is like 3 levels behind, and that's really hurting me. And I retooled, went back in, and took care of business. I actually really liked that. I like when the game challenges me out the gate.
Yeah, there is a one boss, and I'm not gonna say, because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone because the game's not out yet. But there was a boss where both Fruit and I were kind of building for abilities, and we had to completely change our build because we're like, we can't even use them. Like we have to use our guns here, and we were shooting them and doing like no damage. Like it was embarrassing how slowly we were whittling down. We're like, this will actually take an hour if we don't change the build. Like it's impossible. And
I think I had
that's
to
been
do.
interesting.
I know.
I know most people are gonna get baited there.
I had to put on the warp rounds, like the extra damaging rounds and stuff, instead of all the abilities. Yeah, no, it is kind of interesting. And one of the things I actually had to do was there's a boss that was taking like forever, like whittled her down, had her like absolute, and then like got killed. And I was like, screw this. So what you can do is you can actually adjust the story point like whenever. So you can like do one behind the boss, or if you re-click the boss, you'll kind of spawn in on your way to the boss, and then you can peel off and go and do a couple of hunts, like those manhunt things, get some gear, and kind of go back into that boss fight. So they kind of like that. I thought that was a brilliant thing because most games would be like, "Oh, you're struggling with the boss? Too bad. Like, what do you get? Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Your checkpoint is at the boss, idiot.
Yeah.
Like, you better beat this boss."
Right.
So being able to go back was so nice.
You know what? The one thing too that was really interesting is with the demo, you didn't have all the skills for all the classes, and some of the best skills are later on. But also you didn't have enough gear to like really, I mean, you could get a build going, but not to the level of having purple gear and having like legendary gear with the higher tier mods. And so if you look at Outriders, I can imagine that people are like, using their one cast of these abilities, they're like, I can do the same in Destiny. Like I can throw one grenade and I can use my melee, yada, 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 right? But the thing is
True Vanguard, you replied to the wrong tweet for like, you're supposed to put the link in the reply. You replied to episode 30, not 31.
Oh no!
I'm looking at the Twitter right now. I'm like, I retweeted the wrong one. I retweeted last week's because I was like, wait, why is this new link in there?
Sorry.
The interesting thing with Outriders though is once you start getting like further into the game and you start getting 2 or 3 casts of the same ability, it starts to be to the point it's almost like Diablo, where you can honestly like use your abilities and you don't need to shoot your guns that much. And I'm interested to see when people start getting to that point, if the view on the game changes, because I feel like there is a lot of negative sentiment overall, and I think I like the game more than the masses do right now. But I feel like
the masses haven't
played it, right? They haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Well, they did for the demo, and it's like we have no problem if someone like plays the demo and is like, "This isn't for me, brother." That's fine. Save your money. But again, there's this like weird people who like won't even play the demo. They're like, I refuse to stop playing Proving Grounds. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's just kind of like a weird. I think people are burnt out of like. There's been a lot of hype games that have fallen short, and so they're just like maybe extra cautious and to an annoying extent. Honestly, when you're trying to like just say, "Hey, this is a fun game. Here's why," people are like. Oh,
I had this guy in chat today. Let me tell you, I had this guy in chat who was like, "This game sucks because you're gonna get to the end of the storyline, and then you're gonna play the expeditions. You're gonna get to the end of the content. You're gonna have nothing left to play until the DLC comes out." I'm like, yes, that's how products work. When you go to Starbucks and you're like, "I'll have a latte," you don't get to the bottom of the latte and be like, "Are you freaking kidding me?
There's nothing left.
There's nothing left. I wasted $4 on this." You know what I mean? You don't get pissed because you got to the end. You are a consumer. You consume a product. The question is the consumption of that product. Was it good? Was it enjoyable? It's one thing to say this latte was bad and I hated every sip of it. and I'm disappointed. It's another thing to say, oh my gosh, I drank the whole thing. I'm pissed I got to the bottom. And it's the same thing with video games. The question is, did you enjoy consuming the product? So far, I'm really enjoying consuming this product so far. I got a lot of hours into it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm itching to get back on, to be honest with you. So it's like,
I can't wait for you guys to shut up so I can go back to playing this game tonight.
I'm playing this as soon as we're done. Yeah, like but what do you guys think? Do you think Outriders does well? Like, do you think people, because the weird thing is that dichotomy where most people have said it's good. Every single reviewer person, skill up, anyone who's played it is like, it's not perfect, but I'm having fun. I can't stop playing the game. It's fun, right? You know, this is not a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, I don't think, right? It's not like a Grand Theft Auto where it revolutionizes gaming, but it never built itself to be. It's just a fun third-person looter shooter, and everyone who's played it seems to be enjoying it. But do you think just because of that it does well? Or do you think, like, people are so hesitant, people are so, you know, worried about the next Anthem that they just don't even touch this game?
Get Game Pass.
Yeah.
Get Game Pass to play for free.
It's only on Xbox, the Game Pass. If you have Game Pass on PC, so it's only Xbox.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that's enough though? Like,
I mean, the thing is like, is this better than Borderlands 3? I'm having more fun on this than Borderlands 3. I'll tell you that.
It might be. I'll have to see the end game.
Yeah,
but
you have to get to the end game, but like, honestly, like at this point, like 10 hours into Borderlands, I was already like, eh. But this game, I want to get my builds going. I felt like I got a maxed out build in Borderlands so fast where I could just one bang everything, and I just like didn't care. It was bizarre. It was bizarre.
In Borderlands, your build is like one good gun. You get like the mega gun that just kills everything, and you just win.
The rest of your build doesn't matter. Yeah,
yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there isn't as much polish as like when like Ghost of Tsushima came out. Like you could just see that that's like a pinnacle, unbelievable game, or like God of War. It's like those are a dime a dozen. Like they're so incredible. But this game, it feels like a 7 out of 10. You know, like it's got like a little bit of jank and like maybe not the best graphics, maybe some hit or miss things, but it's an overall good package, and it's better than a lot of looter shooters that have recently happened, and it's scratching an itch that like that almost Diablo mixed with looter shooter that I haven't seen in a long time. And I feel like if some big streamers come out and they say, hey, it's great, it's awesome, it's fun, maybe it gets adopted, but again, we need like a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have to see the end game and see how long people play that, because in a game like this, it might be just a fun thing. You experience it, you blow some stuff up, is what it is, and then you get out. But if this game is going to be adopted long term and people are streaming it and caring about making builds and all that stuff, it's gotta last into that end game, and people have to be enthralled by it. They have to see something there, light at the end of the tunnel where there's like a pinnacle activity, like one of the final expeditions maybe, or else they just might not ever get there. I don't know.
But it's like you have people like this guy, the Brick House, who's like, it's a 6 out of 10 game. He's like, that's why people don't want to try it. Bro, how do you know? Like, we're all playing the game. You're not Brick House, unless you're some like tiny streamer that like, I don't know. Like that's the weird thing. You don't know it's a 6 out of 10 game. You had a very limited beta that was basically the demo was just, do you like this style of gameplay? And a lot of people did. The the abilities were very visceral, very fun. Chaining them, multiplayer was fun. So it's like, again, that's what we're talking about. There's this weird, like, people are coming in here, it's a 6 out of 10 game. Bro, again, you don't know. We literally are playing it now. We're like 20 hours in or whatever.
Yeah, it's well fleshed out. There's one thing. It's one thing to say the game doesn't look like it appeals to me. It's another thing to say it's poorly made. It's a 6 out of 10. Like Cyberpunk to me is a 6 out of 10 game. Okay, it had a lot of issues. 7 out of 10. Yeah, a lot of issues, but it was actually a pretty decent game. I mean, it was not well fleshed out, had a lot of bugs, crashes, got a lot of hate, got taken out the PS Store, but it wasn't a terrible game. To say that this is worse than Cyberpunk, I think, without even playing it, by the way, I don't know about that, bro.
Yeah,
I would.
it's weird. It is weird. It's like this weird negativity like holding over this game where like people, it almost seems like they want it to fail. They want it to be the next Anthem so they can tell their friends, I told you so.
I mean,
And even Anthem had that. Like the amount of people that like, you know, the hate YouTubers, you know, the people with like the downward red arrows that are in every thumbnail, those people were just like so happy when Anthem wasn't like the best thing it could be. And a lot of those people are outright liars, dude. The amount of videos I saw that were like Anthem's gonna have loot boxes when we know we were like the EA game changers, we knew it never did. That I honestly think one of the reasons Anthem failed is because you had this like weird hate movement of like people wanting it to fail just so that they could shit on EA. And the game, like people who actually played Anthem are always like, most of them are like, yeah, I actually had a decent amount of fun. I just ran out of stuff to do. They're not like sitting there like, I can't believe I wasted my time on that game, piece of trash. I hate every like.
right.
It's the people who never even played Anthem that are the most vocal about Anthem. I swear to God. Like those are the people who are like always bringing up Anthem because it's like they were right. And I can tell everyone they're right. It's weird.
And you know, even like Gathalion, he's made quite a few things where like people have posted about Outriders and he's like repeatedly been negative about it. Like he's just like, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. It just doesn't look good. But then Carnage was playing it and said it was good. And he's like, really? He's like, okay, well, if thinks it's good, then like maybe, I don't know. Like
You gotta normalize saying, I think I might have been wrong.
Right.
Like people are so afraid to say, I might have been wrong about this these days. Like people, they'd rather double down and make up some bull crap to verify and validate their initial position than they would rather say, you might be right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know what it is about people. They'd rather double down on something than be open-minded about it.
And so I feel bad for Outriders in that regard. It's like, it's doing its thing. I think it's coming out at a great time. Like this season right now for Destiny 2, what is happening right now? Nothing. Guardian Games is the next thing.
What's happening in gaming? I mean, there's just nothing going on.
I think April 1st, that's a great launch date. Cause like you said, nothing. Like everyone is, I think hopefully people realize everyone trying to crowd around fall is dumb. Like let Call of Duty and Battlefield,
let them duke it out.
Exactly. Let them fight it out, right? And then there's all this rest of the year where like nothing comes out. April 1st is a great time. But again, I feel sorry, like, is it going to get caught in this weird negativity storm of like gamers wanting to be right about without even trying it? Like that's what I worry about. And then people don't ever give this game a chance because it's worth giving a chance to, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point in the game, if someone's like, would you recommend Outriders? I would say, if you can afford it and you like looter shooters, absolutely. I'm liking more than Borderlands. I'm liking more than I liked Anthem. And I liked Anthem. And I like it more than that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's legitimately fun. I cannot wait to play multiplayer. We've got to
get together for expeditions and then get like a feel
I'm in, guys.
For working together.
Well, get leveling. Tell your wife and kids.
Grinding.
TV, tell your wife and kids, you're not going to see me for the next couple of days. Daddy's going to work. See ya. And then you just grind and you get caught up to me and we'll play together.
That's right.